Hi, I'm Tristan. Welcome to today's lesson. And this is a special lesson because we are going to use Eminem lyrics, the rapper, the hip hop icon, to improve our phrasal verb knowledge and overall Toeic score. So we are going to look at 7 phrasal verbs in Eminem songs and talk about what they mean and how they can be important in Toeic. All right, let's get started with the first song, Hi, My Name Is. Here is the lyrics. I'm about to pass out and crash and fall on the grass faster than a fat man who sat down too fast. Okay, so our phrasal verb here is pass out. Pass out has a couple meanings. The first is to fall asleep because of too much alcohol. So she had tequila the night before. She drank a couple shots and passed out on the train home. She had too much alcohol. Or the other meaning of pass out is to lose consciousness, so also kind of fall asleep because of fear, panic, or needles. For example, when the nurse took my blood, I passed out. I woke up about a minute later on a hospital bed. Another example, during the presentation, I started panicking and passed out. I woke up on the ground. So we go back to Eminem's lyrics. He's saying, I'm about to fall asleep because of too many drugs, too much alcohol. All right, another example of pass out comes from a newer song by Eminem, Godzilla. So these are the lyrics. These chicks are spazzing out. I only get more handsome and flyer. I get him passing out like you do when you hand someone flyers. Okay, I am not a rapper. But what they're saying is the chicks, aka the girls, are so excited when they see Eminem, they pass out. So the first phrasal verb, pass out. Let's look at 2009 from Eminem. This is a song called Beautiful. Here are the lyrics. I don't know how or why or when I ended up in this position I'm in. I'm starting to feel distant again, so I decided to just pick up the pen. So the phrasal verb is end up. End up is to be in a situation that you didn't plan. Common forms are someone ends up in, at, on place, or someone ends up verb ing. Let's look at an example. I thought I was going to arrive in Paris, so that was my plan, but I ended up in Berlin. So this is an unexpected event. This was not the final plan I had. Or I wanted to study biology, but I ended up majoring in physics. So if we go to the Eminem lyrics, he's saying, why did I get in this situation? And now I don't feel connected to other people. This was not my plan. Let's go to another example of how Eminem used and from the Lose Yourself song. I've got to formulate a plot or end up in jail or shot. Success is my option, failure is not. So if you end up in jail, this is not your plan, but this is the final result. Okay, so we are going to go to another song with another phrasal verb. This is from the song Not Afraid, released in 2010. I'll let you read it. All right, so the first phrasal verb is let someone down. This is to disappoint someone and often not keep a promise. An example, he told his wife he'd stop gambling and he doesn't want to let her down. So he doesn't want to disappoint her. He wants to keep his promise. He doesn't want to let her down. Or example two, I let myself down when I didn't study for the final exam and failed. So I disappointed myself. Okay, so that is let someone down. The next phrasal verb, you can see Eminem says, I promise to never go back on that promise. To go back on a promise or an agreement is to break a promise or break an agreement. Here's an example. My manager promised me that I would be able to take a 2-week vacation, but she went back on that promise 1 month before my trip. She really let me down. So she went back on the promise, she broke the promise. Or, let's be honest, a large number of married couples go back on that agreement. They will stay together until sickness or death. Yes, so they promise they will stay married, but many go back on that promise. And the not last phrasal verb, he says, I'm way too up to back down. To back down is to stop demanding something or to stop challenging someone. To admit, it's like saying, I give up against you. An example, the student got very angry at me because he didn't pass the course. He demanded a higher mark, but I refused. Eventually, he backed down. So the student stopped arguing. Or the protesters did not back down against the police. So the protesters continued to protest. They did not admit defeat. So the Eminem song, I'm way too up to back down. So you will keep fighting. All right, the last phrasal verbs come from Eminem's newest album. It is called The Death of Slim Shady, 2024. So it says, I've been knocked down so many times, can't count. Some shit just doesn't pan out. That's just the way the card hand's dealt. So we have knocked down. Well, what does knock down mean? This is to make something collapse, to make something fall down. For example, the earthquake knocked down several buildings. So the buildings collapsed because of the earthquake. Or the police knocked down the suspect and arrested them. So with knockdown, something knocks down object. Okay, so we don't say the building knocked down. We say the storm knocked down the building. So Eminem saying, I've been knocked down so many times, can't count. So he's saying, life has pushed me down. Life has made me fall many times. The next word, pan out. Pan out means end up being okay, be successful at the end. It does not have an object. So you will not say, I panned out my job. You will not have an object. So it is an example. I wanted to open my restaurant, but it didn't pan out because I couldn't find a good location. So it didn't work. It wasn't successful. Or I live in the apartment for a couple years, but didn't pan out because the owner sold the building. Okay, so it didn't work out. It wasn't a success. So Eminem says, I've been knocked down so many times, can't count, so life has hurt me. Sometimes shit doesn't pan out. So sometimes dreams don't always come true. Right, we are at that moment where we are going to do some TOEIC questions with this new vocabulary. So let's give it a shot. Take a minute to look at this question. Now, first read the whole sentence and get the basic idea. Grammar will not help you much. You need context and vocabulary. So you can see the simple idea is she wanted to open a second restaurant, so that's her dream or her idea, but it didn't work. So her idea never blanked, but it was probably a good thing. So first, eliminate A, end up. When you use end up, you need an object after it or some sort of preposition. For example, he wanted to be an actor, but he ended up being a director. Or he wanted to be an actor, but he ended up in the director's chair. So you're going to need something after end up if you use it as a verb. Next, eliminate B and C. Why? Well, nod off means fall asleep. I nodded off on the train after a long day of work. So that doesn't make sense here to say she never nodded off. The restaurant never, her idea never nodded off, never fell asleep. Person falls asleep. And the same is true with pass out. Pass out is to fall asleep because of alcohol or maybe because of panic. But the idea does not pass out. Person passed out. So the answer is panned out. And remember, pan out is to become a success. end up being successful. So her idea never panned out. Her idea never happened. And remember, with pan out, there's no object. Okay, 121. Well, this one is going to be D. If you go back on a promise or an agreement, you don't keep your promise. So the person is saying it was inconvenient for the woman. It was not fun, but she didn't go back. She didn't break her promise. So she didn't go back on. So once again, D. And finally, 111. So this is all about grammar. Let's eliminate when, so A first. When is not a preposition. After when, you do not just put when now. You could have when subject verb, you could have when verb ing sometimes, but not when now. Okay? An example, when the movie I fell asleep. No, when I was watching the movie. Or if I said when earthquake, no, when the earthquake happened. So when is gone. The same is true for while. We will also not have while just plus now. So if I say while dinner, I received a phone call, this is wrong because I just have a noun. I could say while eating dinner, while I was eating dinner, but not just while now. So now we have C or D. Well, the answer is D, during. During is a preposition. So you need during plus now. And we usually use during with during an event, such as during the game, I got injured. During the movie, I fell asleep. Or the answer for this question, during the earthquake, several old buildings were knocked down. So they collapsed. All right, this was a longer lesson than usual. We used some Eminem lyrics. Hopefully, you're a fan. And we also improved our TOEIC score. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.